while also giving you winning tactics for marriage problems, girlfriend problems, and intimacy problems for men. But moreover, where my main mission is to keep you out of divorce court. And with Marriage Unchained, the art of one flesh, divorce combat coaching is the flavor of the day, while also helping men understand marriage and courting, not dating, in the Catholic faith. Why? Because dating is for sex and courting is for marriage. In this 215th episode, How to Be a Strong Catholic Dad, Your Responsibilities to Your Children in the Eyes of God, Part 3, plus live phone calls from you answering your marriage and crisis questions. So get in that queue for some resolution to your marriage confusion. And of course, today I am late coming on the show. I'm so sorry. I had technical problems. My software would not initialize the stream. So I've been sitting here for 25 minutes trying to get it to work. And so I probably have no listeners now, no watchers. So anyway, hopefully somebody will show me mercy and come and watch and check things out. But that's not going to stop the show. We got to do what we have to do because there is an audio podcast listeners once I get the show all optimized and ready to go for that platform. So let's go. Quote of the day. Quote, no one, absolutely no one, believes in divorce until they want one. End quote. Jerry Jacobs Jr., Catholic Alpha, I say CatholicAlpha.com. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me to help you in yours. Get live Catholic marriage help Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, for some resolution to your marriage confusion. All right, and so now today was Catholic Alpha's Radical Rant of the Day. Yesterday we discussed in episode 214 how doing an examination of conscience each day can help your marriage thrive and create a good relationship with your children. And as the measurement tool, we use the Catholic Church's examination of conscience for the married. Again, an examination of conscience is defined as the act of looking prayerfully into our hearts to ask how we have hurt our relationship with God through our thoughts, words, and actions. Using an examination of conscience can give you items to consider daily to help you visualize and realize if you're being a good Christian soldier, husband, and father. So today, we reach deeper into your responsibilities to your children in marriage as defined by Christ and his church. Let's review the first 7 of the 25 responsibilities we have as parents when it comes to our children as directed by Christ. So real quick, we're going to review number 7, the first 7 that we did in the last show. So all responsibilities to our children in the eyes of God. This is what he is asking us to consider each day as we go through an examination of conscience for the things in our family. So number 1, have I cared for the spiritual needs of my children? Number 2, have I been a shepherd and guardian as God has appointed me? Number 3, have I tried to foster a Christian family where Jesus is Lord? Number 4, have I taught my children the gospel and the commandments of God? Number 5, have I prayed with them? Number 6, have I been persistent and courageous in my training and teaching? And number 7, have I disciplined them when necessary? And so today, next, we're going to start. After we review the first 7. So now we're going to go into 8 through 16 before we go to break. And so let's get into this. Again, examination of conscience, man. it's a good thing to look at this, and it's a good foundation to what to do in your marriage as it pertains to your spouse and as it pertains to your children. This is a very, very good roadmap. It comes from Christ Himself, it comes from the church. And it's good that we understand these things. So, number 8, have I been lazy and are showing no interest, concern, or enthusiasm for my children? Today, that's a rare thing. Most people today look at their children as like they're kind of like on the top of the highest pedestal. And so showing enthusiasm for our kids and is not a very hard thing. Um, a lot of people and even fathers these days have been conditioned now to show interest in whatever their children do. Kids are taught how, so told they're special all the time. So even and I've also realized that even when we do that, you tell your kid how special they are, they still miserable, they still get depressed, they still get upset. And so if that's something we got to really think about. One of the things that my wife has said is that self-esteem is earned. If you haven't done anything, you're not special. Yeah, we're special as a human person, but in order to get, high self-esteem comes with accomplishing things. And if, we don't instill that in our kids, then they grow up thinking that they're special and they go out in the real world and they find out they're not so special. And so we must teach them to deal with that. Number 9, have I talked with them to find out their problems, concerns, and fears? So this is another good one. A lot of times as parents, we just focus on, listen, do this, do that. You're doing good in school, but also it's a good thing to sit your kids down, even your older children, and talk about their problems, their concerns, and their fears, like what's going on in their life, and not really focus so much on what I want as for them as a parent. And that's a very good thing that, what, I think I should probably do that more. That's to be honest. Number 10, have I been affectionate toward them? So that is a very, very good one. Affection is not always just being there. Affection is also telling them that you love them, hugging them, holding, sitting down and having a good conversation with them. And a lot of times too, this is what our older kids, we forget as parents that when our kids are older, they're also they also still need us as parents. And we forget that. And when our kids are younger, we don't seem to really have a big problem with it. But another thing that comes with balance is when you have to, with discipline, when you have to discipline your child, and then you just discipline them every day, and you don't show them love or affection, they start to think you're a miser, or you're mean and you're a terrible parent. And this is where balance is so important when it comes to children. All right. Number 11, have I hugged them and told them that I love them? I just talked about that. Number 12, have I played or recreated with them? So do we play with our children? A lot of people do. They sit down and play, especially mothers. Mothers are really good at that. Probably with fathers, we've got to go out, we've got to work, we got to come home. Mothers these days do too. And one of the problems that's one of the problems with putting kids into babysitters and what do they call child care centers is that it's been known that children don't, when they're put in those environments, they don't get the love and affection that they can from their parents. And so as they grow, that is a deficiency in their character. Okay. And so the reason this is important is because kids need their mother and father. They need their mother in the home, raising them and teaching them and loving them so that they can get the affection that they need. A lot of people homeschool now for that very, very reason. Okay, because they don't want their kids intimidated or influenced or manipulated and not shown the proper amount of love and care. Number 13, have I been impatient and frustrated with them? So with our children, it's easy to get impatient and frustrating with them. But if you've done all the other things, sometimes your frustration and impatience is warranted, right? Because you've warned them, you've told them, 2 or 3 times to do what you need them to do, and they don't do it. Then you got frustration and trying to get them to do what you need them to do is a good thing. But most of the part when it's not warranted, a lot of times too, kids do what we do. So if we can't get mad and frustrated with them, if we're doing something that they see us doing, and then they go and do it. Okay. But remember, these things all help you to understand what is required in your family. And if you're not doing these things, it's sinful. And so you must go to confession and ask forgiveness. Next, number 14, have I corrected them out of love in order to teach them what is right and good? Oh man, we talked a lot about that yesterday. Discipline, correcting them, showing them that you have their best interest at heart. These are the balance that we need. There's a balance between love and discipline. And if we don't understand that balance, we either go too far one way or too far the other way. Which with what I was talking about, like, oh, you're so special, special, special. You kids never do anything wrong, and they're just the greatest. And that's not true. On the other hand, scolding kids every single day and not and getting on them every day and punishing them every day, that is the total opposite. So there's a balance between love and discipline that you as a parent must find. And these things right here, these goals, these examination of conscious things help you to understand that. Okay. So number 15, have I treated them with respect? Now look, respect can go too far. What we mean is respect as a human person. Okay. Every person deserves respect as a human person. Okay. People take that too far with kids. Kids are not gods. They are not the top of your pedestal of your family. They are not above God. They're not adults, and so we have to make sure that we don't take that thing of respect to a higher level than it deserves. Okay. You don't treat a kid with the same respect that you do the president or their father or their mother. What we do is there's a level of respect that each child has according to his age, according to his of being a child or just being a human person. Next, number 16, have I spoken to them in a sarcastic or demeaning way? So this goes along with like with your wife. Do we speak to our kids in a demeaning way? Do we say please and thank you? Do we teach them their manners, proper manners? Do we speak to them? We don't, don't call them dumb and stupid and ignorant and all these bad things, or ugly or fat, all these bad things and bad names that can cause children to get a complex about themselves. And then, so that is the first 16. When we come back from break, we will finish up. Bam. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. Okay, so we are back. We are back, gentlemen. So let's finish up. Let's go. Let's go and go and go. So now, um, so we're talking about how to be a great Christian dad in the eyes of God, the 25 tips taking you from good to great. And again, we're talking about we're using the document examination of conscience for the married. The document is divided into two categories. One, the responsibilities that wives and husbands have to their spouse. Okay. That's what we did in episode 213. And yesterday, to episode 214, 215, we're talking about the responsibilities to our children. Okay. Um, and if you want this document that I'm using is called Examination of Conscience for the Married. It was constructed by Father Thomas Winandi. He was the executive director of the Secretariat of Doctrine and Canonical Affairs of the USCCB from 2005 to 2013. And this will be posted in the show notes. Also, one of the things before we start with number 17 is the conversation of why you had to discipline your child is very important. Like when you have to discipline your child, it's important that you let them know that you love them, why they were disciplined, that you give them the proper amount of chance to get things right. That also depends on the severity of what they've done as well. The older they are, explaining why you had to discipline them is important. One of the things that we talk about is, we used to talk about in my family is when your wife, I mean, when your child does something wrong, the older they, no, well, let's talk about it like this. When you ask your child to do something, the older they get, they might ask why. Like, Dad, I don't understand why, or Mom, I don't understand why. And so today, a lot of kids challenge their parents like that, or challenge authority figures like that. And the authority figures a lot of times get upset. But if you're talking to a 16-year-old, they're smarter, they're more intelligent, they're not 3 or 4 or 5. And so, yeah, you might say, well, the reason that we had to do this, son or student, is because of so, or whatever. And then you say, now get on, do what I said do. There's no arguing and no bickering back and forth. There's no complaining. We're not telling them, we're not giving them the reason why so that we can sit there and have this debate about it. Okay. But I start to realize as my kids got older that they're smarter and they have more, they want to understand, like, what are we doing this for? And so I at first I used to get, it was a long time ago. At first I would get a little frustrated with them, like annoyed. But then I started to see that once they knew why they were doing something, they still knew they had to do it. But if they understood why they were doing it, they were more on board to what we were trying to do. Okay. Um, why you have also, it's important that you explain to them why you discipline them, like why you had to spank them or take their phone or confine them to their room. Once you initialize the punishment and they're doing their punishment, everybody's calmed down. Then you go in and you talk to them, still in their bed. You sit there and you talk side by side, and you hug them and tell them you love them, but that you had to do this, and why that you didn't really want to, but they kind of forced you to because they were doing this and that wrong, and it's your job to be their parent and not their friend. That kind of conversation. Okay. Um, um, Now, and so that's really how the conversation should go. Another thing, again, to reinforce, under no circumstances do you accept any whining or back talk or bad attitude from children. The reason why, man, is because when they go out in the real world, as we talked about yesterday, when they go out in the real world, what's going to happen is they're going to be talking back to their bosses. Somebody upsets them, they're going to engage them in the wrong way. Kids must learn how to respect authority, and not just respect authority, man, but respect the human person, respect their friend, respect, people who they encounter. Respect is a big thing. And when we don't get respected, especially men start to act out, people get upset. Okay. So, uh, next, so let's get on finish on what we're talking about. So let's go to number 17. Number 17 of the responsibilities that we have in the eyes of God of how to interact with our children. Number 17 is, have I held resentments against them? A lot of parents can go too far too. Like, once the child does something wrong, you correct them, you punish them, you sit them down and talk to them, have a conversation. This is why the conversation is so important, that this helps the parent and the child refuse resentment or let resentment build up. A lot of times parents will punish a kid. Now, look, I'm not talking about a 2 or 3 year old or 1 year old or 4 or something like that, okay? Because they don't understand what you're talking about anyway. But as they get older, 5, 6, 10, 15, 17, or whatever, then this conversation is important, because resentment can settle in, and if the kids start thinking you're that you're a mean and ogre type parent, that they can never do anything right, then what that does is start to disconnect them from you, and the family. It can also go as far as disconnecting them from the family. And so this is why it's important not to hold resentments. As long as your kid is resigned to do things the proper way and they're trying, then try not to hold things against them. A lot of wives, once they get hurt, women are like that. They get hurt, they don't care. They're holding against their husband. He can never change. He can never do anything right. So why should I even try to forgive him or even hang around? Okay, and that's kind of a bad mindset to have. Number 18, have I forgiven them? So forgiving your children when they do something wrong. We just talked about resentment is the same of building that resentment up. It comes from forgiveness. A lot of times prayer, if you are a prayer warrior, a lot of times, man, you don't have a problem forgiving people. You really don't. It's just that it's a Christian thing to do. Someone is sorry, they've been punished. You give them a second chance. Sometimes you gotta give them a third chance. What is the scripture of Christ? 7 times 70. Forgive them 7 times 70. Now, a lot of times you're not gonna forgive somebody right away, okay? Because we are emotional beings, but over days and weeks, we can't be holding these things in and hold them against. We have to get over it. Next, that comes with our children too. Number 19, have I been of one heart and mind with my spouse in the upbringing of the children? I cannot tell you how many people cannot agree on how to raise their kids. They fight and argue about it, and then they get mad. And then when the marriage starts going bad, it gets worse. It just amplifies. This is why it's important to understand these 25 things that we're talking about. If you follow these 25 things, man, for the most part, you and your spouse will be raising your kid for the most part together. And if you don't agree, you will not argue in front of the kids, and you will go off somewhere and problem solve and figure out how you two can come together, or of course some kind of compromise where both of you can try out one person's idea first. If that doesn't work, then try the other person's idea. This getting upset and going above each other's head, and we just gonna do it behind their back, and we don't tell your mother about this and that, man, that kind of stuff, it just causes mistrust, and it causes dissension in the marriage and in the family. And then it confuses our children. Like, man, they don't know what they want from us. And it can really hurt the children when a father or a mother goes, hey, don't tell your mother about this because we don't want to blah blah blah, or don't tell your dad. I mean, why would we bring our kids up like that, teaching them how to lie? That's different. I'm talking about real stuff, not like, okay, you're having a surprise birthday party, well, don't tell your mother, because that's different. But I'm talking about real stuff, like I'm letting you go to this, I'm trying to get you to apply to this certain college, and the kid's mother is completely against that college, and it's a big thing with them. I mean, keeping it from her is not a good thing, because that starts lying and stuff. Okay. Next one. Number 20. Have I allowed disagreements and dissension to disrupt the training, education, and disciplining of our children? And this goes again with people holding grudges against each other, parents, Please, please do not allow this to happen. People say they love the kids, and then they get a divorce. People say they love the kids, they argue and fight in front of the kids. People say they love the kids, and then the kid does something wrong, or one of the spouses does something wrong, and then the other person is holding it against them and not letting the kid get going to the church or anything like that. So let's talk about that too, real quick. The church, I've had clients where the mother won't go, the wife ain't going to church no more because she think the husband don't love her. So if the husband don't love her, then God don't love her. So I ain't gonna waste my time, type of thing. Then she gets mad, and then the father is starting to go to mass again and get back in the church, and he wants to take the kids and stuff, and then she ain't going, or she hold on her weekend, she gets mad and don't let the kids go to church and stuff. That kind of stuff right there, man, because you mad at the husband, that is not fair to make to punish the children. The children still need to go to mass every day. I mean, every Sunday, no matter what, unless they're sick. And that's not being a good parent. That's not me saying that. This is Christ saying it. That's not being a good parent to withhold, to let disagreements and dissension of your husband disrupt the training, education, and discipline of the kids. Okay, so let's say you guys are separated or divorced, let's say, and the kids, you have the kids one weekend, your husband has the kids another weekend, and your husband wants the kids to have Sunday dinner with him every Sunday. It's just like a couple of hours. But so with your weekend, you get mad and don't want them to go. You won't let the kids go because you mad at the father. It's just silly stuff like that, man. This makes no sense. Okay. Number 21. Have I undermined the role of authority in the eyes of my children by speaking negatively against God, the church, my spouse, or others who hold legitimate authority over them? One of the first things that I teach the men in my program is never, ever, ever, never, ever, 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 never, ever, ever, ever say a negative thing about the child's mother in front of them. Never do that. Never do that. The reason why, first of all, the kid starts disrespecting the mother, and the kid starts having a negative opinion of the mother. And not just that's their mother, and it's not good for us to try to win the kids over to our side because the wife is treating me a certain way, and here's the payoff, the balance to that though. I always tell them, look, just tell the kids that you love their mother more than anything in the world, and you're not trying to you love more than anything in the world, and they're the most important. You're not giving up on your mother, on the marriage or nothing like that. And that's all you say to them, to the children. And here's the thing: you don't have to say if the mother is really as bad as you think she is, or she's doing a lot of wrong things. The kid's going to learn about it anyway. Kids ain't stupid. I don't care if they're 2 years old. They're going to know, they know the parent is going to show themselves to them, and they're going to know over time what kind of mother and father they have. Women do this all the time. They get mad at the boyfriend, they get mad at the husband, and then they trash the man in front of the man's kids. And then they expect, because they're hurt or they're upset with him, they can't control themselves. And so the kid starts to disrespect the father or have a bad opinion of him or ask him about all these things when it's none of the kid's business like that. And because women, what they try to do is they need support to do anything. So what they do is they want people on their side. So what do? Commandeer the children. Got 2, 3, 4, 10 kids, and you turn, you mad at him. So what you do is turn the kids against him. Now, women, they think they're not doing that, but yes, they are. Every time they withhold the kids from him, every time they say anything negative or talk bad about him or call him a name in front of the children or tell them all the bad stuff the father's doing and all that stuff, man, that is not a good way to be. Let the child, the best way you do this, and this is the Christ way, is you let the child, you just tell the kid how much you love them. and how much you support them and want them in your life, and how much you love their mother or how much you love their father. And then you let the father or the mother that you let that parent prove who they really are to the kid, because it won't take long. If the father really is a jerk, then it'll come out. But you don't. Your job is to be, listen, that's your father. You should respect him. Try your best to love him the best way you can, and that's the end of it. You know. So, man, that is one of the saddest things when people start can't getting along, is they say they love the kids, but then the mother or the father start turning on telling the kids all the bad stuff about what the other spouse did, and it's just not right. It's just really not. It damages the children. It really does. Um, Next, number 22. Have I been a good Christian witness to my children in what I say or do, or do I demand one standard for them and one another for myself? So, being a good Christian witness is what? Basically, doing what the natural law, the Ten Commandments, what God have us do as a Catholic. Am I going to mass? Am I getting the sacraments? Am I studying the faith? Am I praying? Am I in control? Do I lose my temper? Am I have anger issues? Am I a liar? Am I a thief? All of these things, you know, they are you doing these things? Am I watching pornography? Am I masturbating? Am I doing things that if my kids knew would be like, man, that is not the thing of a father. That's not a thing of a parent, my mother and father. So we have to always understand that our children are always looking at us. And if you are married and you are a man, your wife is always looking at you too. It's so important that you realize this. Women, wives are always looking at the man, and so are the children. Why? Because you're the natural leader, server, authority in the home, and that authority is given by God Himself. And so if you're not a witness, you can't expect your kids to be like that. People kill me how they don't go to mass, they don't learn the principles of the church, they don't learn the faith, they want to be atheists, they don't want to go to church and believe in God, and then when their kids grow up to be totally screwed up, they don't understand why. Well, that's why. We can sit there and dog out God all we want, but the point of me is God's way works because He created us. And without the knowledge of knowing Him, loving Him, and serving Him, children just kind of go off and become these kids that we don't realize. That people go, your kid gets pregnant, man, what'd you go out and do that stupid thing for? Did you know about birth control, or why are you having sex at 15? But they don't really, but they ain't spent a day in church. They ain't taught the kid nothing about God, how to interpret God's love for them, and anything like that. But they just suspect just because you told them that they're going to do what you say. That's not how it works with children. We all know that. It's a balance. God, we being a witness, like we're talking about now, as parents being a witness of God and what that means, and we doing it ourselves. And we showing our kids we have their best interests at heart. We love their mother, we love their father, and we do the best thing we can. Once you do the best you can and you surround that child with all the goodness, support, and thriving of psychological, emotional, and spiritual love in your home, and then they go out and do something stupid, then that's on them then, right? All right. So next, number 23, have I been properly generous with my children regarding money and physical and material well-being? That's self-explanatory. If your kid needs some clothes, get your kid some clothes. Your kids need some shoes, get your kids some shoes. If your kid needs money for school, get your kids money for school. Whatever they need, they don't necessarily mean buy them a computer or get them a cell phone or have cell service or, buy them this expensive car, let them have a car and all that stuff. All that stuff, no, the needs of the child. It's not times needs are not necessarily wants are not necessarily needs, especially if you're a middle class family or below, you don't have all this expensive, all this this extra income to be given out to kids and stuff. Okay, it's a balance, right? Number 24, have I been miserly? That's self-explanatory. And number 25, the last one, have I been extravagant, thus spoiling them? Spoiled children are selfish. Spoiled children can never get along with other people. They only get along with them as long as the other person the other person does what they say. And so this is why discipline is so important. This is why not allowing your kids to talk back and be disrespectful is so important. Because especially when you only have one child, it's important that, because when you have more than one kid, when there's more than one child in the family, 2, 3, 4, 10, or whatever, what happens is the kids learn, like they're a little village. They learn how to get along with people. They learn how to respect others. They learn how to not be selfish. One kid, a lot of times, can, if we're not careful, maybe God only gave you one child, right? You didn't take any birth control. Something physically is wrong with you, and you can only have one child. Let's say that. I mean, we have to be very careful when we only want to have we only have one child, that child is shown the word of God, that child, why? So that the child is not selfish. Because when it's one child and two parents, a lot of times the parents can overly protect the child, can overly compensate for not having other children around. And so they have to be careful that the child doesn't turn out selfish. This is why if you only have one child, sports, clubs, chess competitions, football, basketball, tennis, gymnastics, dance class, things like, art, like singing and bands, things like that, put them around other people, and they learn how to not be selfish. Sports is a great way. It's a great way, if you're only blessed with one child, to learn how to not be selfish and how to learn how to give to others and think about others. Okay. And so that is the 25. And I hope y'all got that, and hope you got something out of that, and hope you now better understand what God is asking of you in your home. So bringing it all together. The Catholic faith is hard. Prayer is hard. Fostering a relationship with God, our wives, and our children is hard. But it is important that we give each the attention it deserves if we are to prosper in life and become saints. Spending the proper time with God, our wife, and children are paramount, and not just time, but quality time. Spending time with our Lord in the sacrament of the Eucharist, adoration, spending time with our beloved, date night and bonding conversations each day, raising our children properly by loving their mother, showing we have their best interest at heart, showing them attention, and disciplining them when appropriate. This, gentlemen, is true love. Refusing to consider our own wants, needs, and desires above that of God, marriage, and family is very difficult at times, but the reward is far greater than the suffering. Why? Because, my friend, God made you for greatness, not mediocrity. The only question is, will you disappoint him? Bam. Get live Catholic marriage help Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Live streamed on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and CatholicAlpha.com. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. All right. And we are back for our conclusion and our review. So real quick, let's go over the 25 responsibilities that we must show that we have to our children in the eyes of God and his church, the Catholic Church. Okay. So number one, have I cared? So let me say this real quick. Remember, these things are from scripture and from God. So this is not really me talking. This is God. And so, and believe it or not, these things, most of us do these things with our children, but do we do all of them? So that's kind of where we are, is try our best to do what God has asked us to do with these responsibilities to our children the best we can. Pray about it, take it to confession. Okay. So number one, have I cared for the spiritual needs of my children? Number two, have I been a shepherd and guarding as God has appointed me? Number three, have I tried to foster a Christian family where Jesus is Lord? Number four, have I taught my children the gospel and the commandments of God? Number five, have I prayed with them? Number six, have I been persistent and courageous in my training and teaching? Number seven, have I disciplined them when necessary? Number eight, have I been lazy and are showing no interest, concern, or enthusiasm for my children? Number nine, have I talked with my children to find out their problems, concerns, and fears? Number 10, have I been affectionate toward them? Number 11, have I hugged them and told them that I love them? Number 12, have I played or recreated with my children? Number 13, have I been impatient and frustrated with my kids? Number 14, have I corrected them out of love in order to teach them what is right and good? Number 15, have I treated them with respect? Number 16, have I spoken to my children in a sarcastic or demeaning way? Number 17, have I held resentments against my children? Number 18, have I forgiven my children? Number 19, have I been of one heart and mind with my spouse in the upbringing of our children? Number 20, or have I allowed disagreements and dissension to disrupt the training, education, and discipline of our kids? Number 21, have I undermined the role of authority in the eyes of my children by speaking negatively against God, the church, my spouse, or others who hold legitimate authority over them? Number 22, have I been a good Christian witness to my kids in what I say or do, or do I demand one standard for them and another for myself? Number 23, have I been properly generous with my children regarding money and physical and material well-being? Number 24, have I been miserly? And number 25, have I been extravagant, thus spoiling him? And again, I hope that helps you to understand what God's expectations of you when it comes to your children. And this three series episode, which included your wife, responsibilities to your wife. So I hope this helped. And as we always do, I'll have a good weekend. And as we always do, we end with a quote from Pope Benedict XVI, which states, "Society offers you comfort, but you weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness. Now go forth, Christian soldier. The spiritual fight is upon you. Fast, pray, and prepare for battle." Thank you for listening in today. If what you heard helped you in any way and you would like more personal attention, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior marriage coaching. And remember to join the Catholic Alpha Radical Live podcast as a caller or listener every Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. To join as a caller, dial area code 313-RADICAL. To join as a listener or view the live stream, visit the Catholic Alpha Radical Live Facebook page or visit CatholicAlpha.com for Catholic marriage help that actually works. Bam!